Hey, all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I'm your hostess, femininity coach, and author of the Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective. I mean, did we or did we not tell her to be quiet? And it wasn't permanently be quiet. If you had something important to say, if you wanted to bring attention to some unfairness, some bias, or whatever it was that you was trying to bring attention to, nobody's saying that you should never have said anything ever. But if wrong time and place was a person, right? Taraji decided that the best time to come out and voice her disappointments and disapproval of the way in which Hollywood was paying her specifically, and the way in which Hollywood pays Black actresses specifically, and in general, she thought that the correct time for that was right before The Color Purple premiered on Christmas Day. She thought that during the press conference and the press kit portion, where you're supposed to promote the movie, where you are supposed to speak highly of the project that you were just a part of, and that's just about to hit the theaters, and that you want to do well, and you want people to go see, and you need people to patronize it. You need people to watch this movie, because if it doesn't do well at the box office, that's not going to reflect well on anybody that had anything to do with that movie, from the production to the directors to the actors and what have you. And it doesn't matter how well put together the movie may have been or well acted the roles may have been. If you mishandle the promotion, see, things, it's all about marketing. Business is about marketing. You can have one of the best products or services or goods on the market, but if you market it improperly, if you don't position it well, it won't do well. It won't do well. You have to market things and position things in such a way that it will make people want to become a part of it. It will make people want to purchase your service or your goods or see your movie in this case. But Taraji thought that it was more important to do the whole sister girl, let's come together as Black women because we are victims all the time. She thought it was a good idea to utilize the time just before The Color Purple dropped, in which she had one of the lead support roles, one of the bigger support roles. Suge was one of the she was right after the lead. She was like the main support character, one of the main support characters. So she had a lot to do with the movie. The character did. It was an integral part of the plots of the subplots of the movie. And you thought that that was the time to come out about pay, even on the project that you were just on, which indicts Oprah. Not that we care about Oprah, but I mean, you were the one that was involved in the production. Like, you were involved with this project prominently. You should have waited until you should have done all the promoting and spoke highly of the project as much as possible, particularly just before it dropped in the theaters. You wanted it to do well. You needed it to do well in its first month or so, really the first weekend, right? You wanted it to do the best possible numbers that it could do, because you've got to think, Black people don't really patronize musicals. That's not really our style of things that we like to go see. So it may have been a hit on Broadway, but you got to know who your demographic is too. Who was going to see it on Broadway though? Then you got to think about, this is not really a relevant story anymore. So it's not going to hit big like it did the first time that the first iteration of a movie adaptation of The Color Purple hit, right? And then we tired of these. It's almost a slave movie. We tired of these low grade, we always pole mouthing and going through it black movies. Like, we tired of that. We tired. We tired, boss. We tired. And so you pick the wrong time to fight that battle. And it had the movies not doing well. It flopped. Let's just call a thing a thing. It was a complete flop. And her coming out and that basically that bad press had a lot to do with it. I'm not going to say it had everything to do with it, but it had a lot to do with it. It had something to do with it. All right. So Taraji P. Henson's previous comments on unequal pay in Hollywood sparked a major discussion. But in a new interview, the actress is calling for people to focus back on the new film, The Color Purple. I hope they can focus back onto this film because right now, to me, feels like what I said is now becoming louder than this beautiful film, Henson told Today.com. And that's not fair to me or anyone in the film because the film deals with women who are oppressed, who live in an oppressed system, men and women, and all the characters in that film except for the white people. So that movie is about healing. That movie is about sisterhood. Well, you should have thought about that. You should have thought about how your grievances, airing your grievances, was going to have a negative impact on a project you just did. She didn't even wait 6 months, 4 months, or until it was out of theaters at least, and said, hey, I didn't get paid, not only for that project, but past projects. I haven't been getting paid a proper wage. And I need to speak out against the pay grade biases that negatively and disproportionately affect Black women in Hollywood. Like, say what you gonna say, whether people agree with it or not, or feel like it's relevant or not, whatever. But say what you're gonna say at a different time. Right? So when you take a look at the movie's numbers, right? And this is going to be posted. This was posted on the 7th of January, right? According to the New York Times, The Color Purple made an estimated $4.8 million from 3,218 theaters in the United States and Canada this weekend, puts the film in 7th place at the box office behind George Clooney's The Boys in the Boat, which is open at only 2,687 theaters. The musical, which cost Warner Brother at least $90 million to make and another $40 million to market, opened at 18 million on Christmas Day, marking a large attendance drop the second weekend. So if we're saying that it cost 90 million to make and then another 40 million to market, that's about $130,000 or so, right? For it to open at 18 million, that's already not good because movies typically drop off the longer that they are in the theater. As people go to see them, They don't usually go up in numbers. Usually it'll start really strong if it's gonna be strong. And sometimes it'll maintain if it's really gonna be a really good movie with really good marketing and people really wanted to see that movie, it'll maintain and then it'll slowly drop off, as its theater run dies down and you start being able to stream it and all of that type of thing. For it to open at 18 million on Christmas Day, that's horrible, actually. And Black people tried to support it. The Times reports that opening audiences were 65% Black, 19% white, 8% Hispanic, 5% Asian. But the film needs to raise the attendance in white, Hispanic, and Asian demographics to continue to perform at the box office. In total, it has made $55 million at the box office so far and is scheduled to open internationally on January the 18th. So that would have been just yesterday, right? So this isn't doing well. Okay? This movie is not it's not doing well at the box office. Okay? Right? To be considered a success, it needed to to at least have about 200 million, right? Or so. This is not good. And this is what happens when you want to speak your truth and you got to be a victim somehow and you've got to be, woe is me, Black women are always going through it and all that. How much you want to bet that Okra wig free pull her into the principal's office and basically gonna blame her for how badly this movie is doing overall? Because in order for a movie to be considered successful, it has to pay for itself in the first like couple of weekends. It's got to pay for itself. First couple of weekends and first couple of weeks, movie got to make the money, pay for itself. By the end of its theater run, it needs to have at least doubled what it costs to make. And then you're talking about a movie being a success at the box office. If it does better than that, it was a smash hit. If it makes 2, 3 times what it costs to make back in revenue, then you're talking about this was a blockbuster film, right? People kept going back to see it, and it made a lot of money during its theater run. They already talking about streaming it, right? It's been barely a month. So you can't always be running around here talking about what kind of victim you are. Nobody wants to hear that. You pick a time and place. Is they never think that there's a time and a place for stuff. There's a time and place for stuff. Okay? You just can't just say whatever whenever. Like that's not how none of this works, y'all. Put up the victim card. Stop. And another thing, this kind of really proves why she ain't been getting paid what she thinks she should get paid. You be proving why you don't get the big paycheck and the big break. It's not always about how somebody is biased against you, but you be low key shooting yourself in the foot and with buckshot, and the buckshot be hitting other people too. Like what about the other people who acted in the movie? Was it fair to them? No, it was not. Now them people gotta be a part of basically a flop. They name gotta get attached to a flop. Like, and people be coming in there putting a skill on the table and trying to do the best job that they can do acting. And here you come with the Black woman sob story about how Hollywood treating you. Okay, can we do this? Could we have done this in March? Could we have done that at the end of February? Like, come on. Anyway, jump down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I'm your hostess, The Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.